Okay, hi there, and in this video I would like to talk to you perhaps about one of the key fundamental understandings for a beginner meditator when dealing with trying to extend the period of time that we spend on our meditation object. So as a beginner meditator, you'll know that when we sit down to meditation, to meditate on, say, the breath, our mind gets distracted very, very easily. And the job of the beginner meditator is to keep bringing that mind back time and time again. Now, just park that for a moment, and now let's talk about motivation, because the two, as you'll see, are a little linked. When we're trying to motivate ourselves to do something, we really have two methods, the carrot and the stick. So by thinking of all the benefits that we're going to get out of achieving whatever it is we're trying to motivate ourselves to do, that'll give us that mental willpower to go forward and just work at achieving the result that we're trying to get. The other thing is thinking of all the difficulties and the problems that will happen if we don't achieve what we set out to do. So that's the stick approach. Now, both of these, the carrot and the stick, work. However, there have been so many studies, studies on animals, studies on dolphins and things like that, but also lots of studies on humans, studies on kids as well, to show that although both of these things work, by far the most productive is to use far more carrot, far more incentive. In fact, I even recently went to dog training lessons, and there the trainers nowadays, they try not to use, or they recommend not to use, any sort of punishment or smacking or anything. It's all dog treats whenever your dog does something correctly, and that speeds up the process of training your dog faster than anything else. Well, it's the same with kids, and it's the same with our mind. Now, one could argue how much carrot and how much stick that you use and how much you chastise yourself. I personally still use a bit of stick, so to speak. My rule is around about 70% carrot and 30% stick. So even when I'm dealing with my kids, I say, look, I use bribes more often than I use punishments. But even though the punishments are still there in the background. Now, let's bring that back to meditation. In meditation, we want to bring our mind back to the meditation object as often as possible. And what happens is we sit down to meditate, and naturally our mind will get distracted. Now, when we notice it's distracted, we have two options there. We can congratulate ourselves on suddenly having the awareness that we've just realized we should be meditating on our breath rather than thinking about the distraction. Or we can punish ourselves thinking, oh no, that rotten mind has done it again, and force ourselves back to the meditation object. Well, what happens at the unconscious level is if you start punishing yourself every time you realize you've made a mistake, you set up a negative feeling associated with trying to bring your mind back to the meditation object. So you're going to be naturally disinclined to have that awareness, that sudden insight awareness of being distracted. So it's much better to congratulate yourself and feel good and celebrate the fact that you've suddenly come to an awareness where you can bring your mind back to the meditation object. So the lesson is this: as you meditate and actually get distracted, at some point you'll have a sudden little sort of aha moment, like, oh, you realize I've been distracted. At that point, celebrate the success as much as possible and enjoy and pat yourself on the back, so to speak, that you've been able to come up with the fact that you've been distracted, and then firmly place your mind on the meditation object only after you've celebrated that mini success. Now, what that will do is it will set up a pattern of, I guess, reward at your unconscious level every time that you remember to come back to the meditation object. And this way of returning, this happens in stage 2 of the meditation process, if you've looked at the 9 stages, and goes all the way through to 3, 4 and 5. But anyway, stage 2 is where you're at. You will speed up your success, speed up your pace of improvement in your meditation no end. So a very vital lesson. I've dedicated this whole video to just that one piece of information because it's so critical for any beginner meditator. Again, to summarize, make a firm commitment to stay on the meditation object as long as possible. But naturally, as we all do, when our mind wanders and we suddenly realize that our mind's wandering and we're supposed to bring the meditation, bring the mind back to the meditation object, celebrate first and then come back to the meditation feeling good about yourself, and then go forwards from there into as long as possible, again staying with the meditation object. Okay, I hope that lesson was valuable for you, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.